Here I come.
I sense something elusive. Stay a while and listen.
Well met.
You are not prepared.
This better be good.
Existence is mysterious.
Loud and clear. Hello there.
Greetings, traveler, and welcome to the Blue Recluse.
Welcome to episode 206 of the Blue Recluse. My name is Martin Larsen, and you're listening to the podcast about everything Blizzard. It's Sunday. It's the last Sunday of September. It's also the last September of the year, if anybody should be in doubt. And with me today, I do not have Tom. Tom is, I don't know.
Who knows?
Nobody
where?
knows what he's
Nobody
doing.
knows.
He's somewhere. But Michael, you're with us. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I was doing well until we all started talking, and then it was ruined. So let's just get the show started and get it over with.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Also, we have Ryan. Ryan has been so happy and graceful. I can't even talk. So he's standing in.
I'm here.
He's here. That's it.
Yes, I'm happy and gracious. I believe is the word you were looking for to
That's the
to
word.
be here. One
You're
beer
also,
for
you're also
another.
you're also graceful.
Grateful.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
not.
grateful.
He's
One
not
life
graceful.
that
He's
I'm
not
good at,
graceful.
but being graceful is not one of them. But I will take the credit nonetheless. But yeah, no, one beard and one Irishman for another. So here I am. Here I sit.
Welcome to you as well. And that's all the guests that we have joining in this.
Wait. I'm gonna come in like a wreck.
No.
I didn't even care at all.
Who invited
Frazley.
him on? Who invited him on?
You did.
I didn't
Been
even
a good
see
show,
you.
guys.
I didn't even see you there. You're so tall, small gnome and everything.
Hey, are you doing the short jokes? I mean, come on. They go over my head.
Oh
There we go.
my.
We are off for a good start.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, what the only thing that can make this good start even better is some Starcraft talk, isn't that right, Michael?
Of course. I mean, when people think about good times, they think about StarCraft. It doesn't matter which version of the game, it's always a good time. But for those who don't know, I just wanted to bring it up. It's not going to be super long, but the disrespect. I'm just going to stop the stream. Okay, I apologize to everyone who came here for Blizzard news. Everything Blizzard. Smack that
Sorry, go on,
smack
Michael.
that mug
Go
right
on.
out of your hand. Anyway, the StarCraft 2 is on sale right now for both the Standard Edition and the Digital Deluxe. A weird thing is actually that the Digital Deluxe version is significantly cheaper than the Standard Edition right now. It's only $15, and with that you get a bunch of in-game goodies. You get to play all the campaigns, all three of them. That's Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, and Legacy of the Void. You get
Whoa! It's all of it for $15.
Yes, it's the whole thing.
That's a good deal.
It is a
And
very
the
good
only
deal.
The only reason you would want to do that would be the WoW shinies. So that's a great
Um,
way to get.
That is not true. And actually, I don't know. I'm looking. I don't know if you actually get those. Well, yeah, you probably do. I see some things. But there's a lot of good stuff here. If you haven't had a chance to play the game, it is still one of the best RTS games to play out there, especially if you like fast twitch
Worst.
action. You don't have to. You're not even good at it, Ryan. Why are you saying the worst? You can't even use two hands at once. All right.
Wait, does RTS stand for Real Time Snorefest? I'm sorry
No.
to Starcraft 2 fans. I'm sorry.
This talking from somebody who doesn't even raid in World of Warcraft but thinks it's the best game ever. All he does is pet battles, okay? Don't even listen to him. Anyway, all the hate that they're giving to an actually good game, okay? People that judge it are judging it based off the multiplayer, which they have no skill at. That's why they hate on it. But it's a great campaign, definitely. This is a good chance to get in there. It's only $15 and you get definitely a good chunk of gameplay. And if all you do is play the campaign, then guess what? That's still awesome because it's a great chunk of content for $15. It's a lot of good stuff.
it is a lot of good stuff. All get a little bit serious about it. It is a good game. I find
Yeah.
it's a good story, and I really enjoyed it all the way through. Even the multiplayer, I have to say that I've spent a good chunk in there. And Michael, I did get into, I think it was gold when I did the best. So I have played multiplayer, and I do know how to. Well, not anymore, but I did. I used to know how to play the game. So $15 for all 3 games. That's a deal. That's a deal
Yeah.
right there.
And one of Blizzard's strengths is the RTS. I have played some of the Starcraft and Warcraft stuff, and they are great games. There's a reason why they're still played even to this day.
And I mean, if that's not enough for you, I mean, there's also the arcade. There's like loads of player created game modes and custom maps, and I mean, there's so much content in this game alone. Even though it's like, I don't know, how old is this now? Like 10 years old soon?
Almost. It was released, I think, in 2010.
Okay,
That's
so
what I want to say. So it's about 8 years
yeah.
old. Jeez,
It-
think about
it
that.
is-
8 years old. I built my first computer just so I could play StarCraft 2.
Didn't
That's
someone
what I
create an MMO inside of StarCraft 2?
Yeah, it's called StarCraft Universe. It was one of the arcade games. At the time that I played it, it was brand new. It wasn't all that great. I don't know what it's like right now, but it's pretty amazing that they even attempted to do something like that within the engine, because the engine is not really built for something like that. I don't know if it's still there. It probably is in some sense. Whether or not a bunch of people are playing it, that's a different story. But the arcade is a wealth of games that you can play. Some of them are single player, some of them are multiplayer games, but it's a lot of fun. Jump in there.
The one thing that the arcade makes me remind of is Nick Arcade. Doom, 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 doom. You know, the one where you play the games, then you go inside the game on green screen. That was a great
yeah.
show.
All right, moving on.
All right, moving on. There's an event in Heroes of the Storm. Again, Heroes of the Storm came from StarCraft, so I guess, Michael?
Yep, it's still me going on. As you can see, they just put all my stuff at the beginning so that they could shut me up and just get me to the back. But Fall of King's Crest event is now live in Heroes. It was actually live at the beginning of this week, I believe. And this is similar to when they were doing the Warcraft themed one where it was like Horde versus Alliance. This one, there's 4 different heroes. I think it's Zarya, Alexstrasza, Whitemane, and I forget who, Maev. Each of them, you kind of pick your hero and you kind of go through. You do some challenges that unlock skins, unlock mounts and sprays and all the fun things. It just kind of gives you something extra, but it's one of those story themed events, which is really cool because this is something that they alluded to, that hey, the Nexus has some lore behind it, and we've been very interested as players to see what they're going to come up with. So not only do you have some in-game goodies, but you also have a comic book that is digital, and you get to check that out, which has some the Raven Lord information in there. It's check it out. It's linked in the show notes. Check it out. It's going until October 15th. You got comics, you have skins, and you have just a bunch of fun things to get to. Definitely check it out.
I really find it interesting that they're starting to create lore behind the Nexus. I haven't really, I have to admit, I haven't dived too much into it myself yet, but it's definitely something that's on my to-do list, something I want to do, because I love most of the Blizzard lore, to be honest. So it's definitely something I want to check out. But I just find it so funny that that the Nexus has lore behind it, because it's all the Blizzard franchises in one, right? So how the hell do they do that?
I think that was part of the reason why they started doing something like this, is because they kept doing. It became kind of a meme that when characters in Blizzard games died in their respective games, the Nexus was the place that they went to. So everybody was wondering, is that the theme that they're going to go with? Like, once they pass on, they go in here. And if you look at it, a lot of the heroes that are in there are dead in their games, or they're missing in their games. In the case of like Jim Raynor and Kerrigan at the end of StarCraft 2, some stuff happened, but I'm not going to spoil it because all the thousands of people that are going to buy the game today because of the awesome stuff that I just told them, they're going to want to see that story. But it is interesting, and this is actually taking more of an approach not on the characters within the realm, but more of like the overarching characters, which are the Raven Lord, and I'm forgetting what her name is, but it's somebody who's challenging the Raven Lord, and it's pretty cool. So the Raven Lord is supposed to be like this overarching figure within the Nexus itself, so it's pretty interesting.
It's kind of like what they did with like Marvel versus Capcom or the Soul Calibur games or even the Injustice games. That was fighting. This is MOBA, and it's cool that they're creating that lore outside of the properties, but in the properties.
Yes, and one of the coolest things is that the mount that you can get at the end of it is a tombstone. You can just ride on a tombstone as your mount in the Nexus. I think that's pretty cool. It's all, obviously this has that Halloween theme because we are in October. So it all has that Halloween feel, and if anybody plays any games with skins, you know that Halloween are always the best skins.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
This is Halloween. This is...
Yeah. But not saying Francis.
That's the scariest sound I have. So, all right. That sounds cool. Maybe it's time to jump back into Heroes a little bit. It's a long time since I've played it. I have to admit that as well.
You should. It's a good time to jump into all those games that you maybe haven't played. Diablo season going on, Heroes of the Storm event going on, Starcraft 2's on sale. Just jump on in.
And
sorry, go ahead.
And Heroes has been doing a good job with their game. Like they redid the whole player progression system. That was a year ago. It was cool how they've redone that. So all of your characters now have a account-wide status. So the team there has really been doing a lot of good, innovating their game and really trying to make it better.
Yeah, I have to agree, and I'm like, oh my God, is it already a year ago that we got all those lush changes? Because
2.0.
2.0, that brought a lot of players back, I think. I mean, it did bring me back. I played it a ton last year, 1 year ago from now. So yeah, I mean, they have been doing a good job. I've just been too busy doing other things to actually jump into it lately. But I think that's just my eternal excuse. I don't have time. But I mean, I might have a little bit more time because it is like 3 hours ago that I messaged my guild leader and said that I will be quitting raiding.
Oh.
Yeah. I've quit World of Warcraft raiding. I'm not going to be a mythic raider at the moment.
Game.
It's a dead game. It's in a horrible state. Nobody wants to play it, and I'm kidding. I still really enjoy playing the game. I just don't feel mythic raiding is the place where I belong at the moment. Because of one of them is actually time issues, because I have less time to play World of Warcraft now than when I were playing in Legion. So I'm missing out on a lot of like Mythic Plus and playing them with the guild and getting that extra gear, because actually a lot of the gearing is nowadays outside of raiding. So I not only have to show up for the raid days, I also have to do a lot of stuff outside of raid days. And that's just I feel like that's killing me a little bit at the moment, because outside of raiding, that's when I want to play my ult. That's what I want to, especially in this expansion. I want to check out the horde side of things, check out that story, see how that is. And I just got to level 120 this weekend with my horde character, but I feel bad. I feel that I feel bad about doing what I should be feeling is fun, because that means that I also don't put that progression into my main character that I have to raid with, and I feel like I'm letting the raid team down, because I am without a doubt the lowest item level character, because I want to do these things at the moment. I don't want to do Mythic Plus every night to try and get upgrades and stuff like that. And I know that Ryan, we talked a little bit about it in one of the other podcasts that we're doing, but how do you're a guild master, how do you see how raiding works these days? Is it in a good spot, or how does it look from your perspective?
Disregarding the necessities outside of raid time that you spoke to, I think the content is great. I think the fights and the encounters like that are well designed. I think compared to early tiers of raiding in Legion, the tuning is fantastic. So from a purely raiding perspective, I think things are healthy. But again, I think what it takes to get to the level of raiding, what it is a little unnecessary at the moment. And as a guild leader who has received a few of those messages myself from players in a similar boat to yourself, my response has been one and the same, that each and every single person pays their $15 a month respectively for their own reasons, and I don't want any single raider in my raid group that feels forced or like they don't want to be there, but they're doing it purely out of obligation or loyalty or whatever the case. Like, I want you to want to be there, because you're going to be more prone to being a healthy, viable, contributing member. And if you're not happy with things, then you need to go be happy. You need to go take some time for yourself, and you have my best wishes. So I think when looking at that side of raiding and the health of the game, I don't think things are healthy at the moment. I think there is way too many requirements outside of raid to have access to mythic level content. You know what I mean? Outside of players who are in mythic race guilds, you should be able to play mythic content, or access mythic content rather, without spending 10, 15, 20, 30 hours a week outside of raids on your character. But that's just my 2 cents, or $15 rather.
Yeah, because personally, I feel like if you're doing normal raiding, then don't worry too much about all the, because I think one of the things that's killing me is that I have to do like, or at least I feel like I have to do the island expeditions, which is, if you do them, the weekly, I just want to get it over and done with, so I grind it out in a night, and it's just boring content for me at this point, because it doesn't change. It's just, you're just there to get your artifact power, and that's it. And that's one of the systems that's killing me right now, is that I have to actually farm for that neck piece. But if you're in a normal raiding guild, for instance, I feel like it's not that necessary. Obviously, it's player power, so the more you do it, the obviously you will get more power, but I don't feel it's that necessary. It's fine if you just do it in your own pace. And I would say to a certain extent, heroic isn't too taxing either. It's fine that you just do it in your own tempo. But as soon as you get into mythic, I feel like everything changes a little bit, because with normal and heroic, it's flexible. You can bring how many people you want, and everything feels a little bit more. If something goes wrong, then you can actually still turn it around, and you can carry a few people. But when you get to mythic, it's tuned to 20 people who have to play to a certain height, and they need to perform a certain way. There's not too much room for making mistakes unless you really overgear the dungeon. So
I'll throw in something in there.
Yeah, sorry. Go in.
I don't know about Frazley, because I don't know if Frazley really does the raiding scene all that much outside of like maybe LFR. But I do normal raiding, and the guild itself does heroic after we do normal. Or actually, right now we are 1 of 8 on heroic and 6 of 8 on normal. Mithrax is smashing us in the face, even though my Instagram says that me and my paladin buddy, we're gonna smash Mithrax. He smashed us. But the biggest issue that I'm having right now, and I think we discussed this on the other podcast, Nerd This, is the Azerite gear itself. And not necessarily like the grind to level it up, which I'm sure if I really focused on it, that would be annoying. But it's the acquisition of the said gear. I'm still running tank gear on my Ret Paladin because I just haven't gotten the drops for the piece that I need. I've gotten 18 different pairs of legs at the same eye level, but not one piece of Azerite gear has dropped recently. And that to me has been frustrating, even as a casual level, because I just want something to feel like it's actively helping me do my job. So the acquisition of the Azerite gear has really been a bit of not it hasn't been a pleasurable experience. And then outside of that, I want to contribute more than just let me hit things with a stick when I go into raid. So I got my cooking up, I'm trying to get the feasts already, and the amount of things that I have to get that are not exactly farmable. I'm looking at you, Midnight Salmon. It's just a random drop from fishing in general. Like, that is upsetting because I can't, with the limited amount of time that I have, I can't just go to a certain area and search for a pool of it. I just have to just hope that it drops. And if my Azerite gear drop rate tells me anything, it's that I do not have the RNG on my side for anything.
We actually talked about it before the show, Michael, and I remember what the thing was now with the fish. It's a midnight salmon. Midnight. It's in the word. It's actually you catch. That's a higher chance doing nighttime to get it. I remember that now.
You mean that time where I'm trying to sleep?
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it, Blizzard! Like, why? Why? This is not a game that should be on a day/night cycle. It's not one of those.
It's also in the evenings when you're probably playing World of Warcraft anyway. So
That's when you're raiding.
Yeah, when I'm raiding, when I'm supposed to be raiding, now I have to go fish. Like, hold on, guys, let me leave the raid and go fish. It's gonna lead into something later, but it's like leaving the raid to go farm soul shards or something. Come on now, can't do that.
Yeah. But I mean, it might sound like I'm not enjoying myself in the game at the moment, and I absolutely am. I just don't. I think I'm just getting a little bit tired of the whole raiding at the moment. When it comes to mythic raiding, at least, because you have 20 people, and those 20 people need to perform at a certain level, and they have to have the gear for it. And I just don't feel like I have the time to put in to actually try and get there. Because it is actually required at the moment that we do that outside of raid time as well, and that's just not. I want to do other things at the moment, but the things that I am doing, I'm really enjoying that. As I also mentioned, I got my horde character to 120. Nice. I played through the storyline. I'm not completely done with it because obviously, holy crap! I mean, I thought there was a lot of quests when I was done with the alliance side, but it feels like there's way more on the horde side. There's so much stuff to do when I hit 120, and then I got back to the harbor and my ship, and all of a sudden all the Warfront stuff popped up, and I was like, oh crap, there's also this. I completely forgot about that, and there's so many things to do. It's
classic Blizzard bias.
It's a little bit overwhelming. But I like it. I like that there's a lot of stuff to do and still some storyline that I need to explore. I mean, I still need to. I've done all the zones, but I need to finish off the last quest line afterwards that leads into the the dungeons and stuff. So I'm absolutely enjoying that part of it. The casual part of the game I'm enjoying a lot at the moment. So yeah, that's that.
I think we can all agree
that's just
there.
what. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. It was not on the show notes, but
okay.
We jumped into it. I know, Frazley, you of the four of us, you're probably like the most casual of everyone. How do you feel?
Yes.
How's the game to you? Are you having fun? Is it too grindy? Do you want to I don't know, rant at Blizzard?
No, actually, for me, I find the game. I can log in and I can do something. I've chosen to not try to push into the normal or mythics or the keystones because I know that I'm not going to be able to, at this time, live up to what's needed for those. And part of it is I've accepted that. There's enough stuff for me to do old content. There's enough stuff for me to do new content. And then I'm creating content outside of the game for the game. So it really is the perfect game for me. I can just pay $50 a month, not have to buy new games, not have to buy new hardware, except I do want to buy a PC at some point because you can do some stuff with that. But I don't have to be paying $60 a month to continue playing a game. I get to invest in the community. It's finding how it works for me, and it's finding my way. Like right now, I'm enjoying being on this show, talking with you about Blizzard games about WoW. So this is technically me playing WoW.
That's a whole new level of casual right there. I can play WoW without even playing WoW.
Well, isn't that a lot of Reddit?
That's like Frazley makes a typical casual player look hardcore.
And I appreciate that.
You're not even playing. You're just donating money. Is all you're doing.
Yeah, hey, Blizzard, take my money. And I'm paying the money and not even using the resources that my money would go toward. Hey, see, look at that.
He just plays alts to level 20, but still pays the subscription fee.
Frazley's the only person that can write off his monthly subscription on his taxes. Charitable contribution.
Yeah. To the Church of Kaplan.
Kaplan? Wrong game, my friend.
Well, no, Blizzard. There's a podcast I was listening to that's Overwatch, and they do the Church of Kaplan. I was like, that's awesome.
Oh, cool. Church of Kaplan. But Ryan, how's things in your raiding guild? How's it going? Is everything good?
Man, that's a loaded question, Marty. Things are going. We're kind of split down the middle. We're a fresh group, building from the ground up. I, along with Oreo from TRC, made the decision to pull the trigger on building a group from ground up that kind of ties into the podcast. So it is TRC as well, is the guild name. And, about half the raiders we've all raided with, either last expansion or previous, and they're all pretty experienced and know their stuff. The other half come from all over other situations. Some didn't raid Mythic last year, some haven't raided at all since 2 expansions ago. So there's a lot of growing pains right now getting the guild going, and so we had a full night of attempts on Heroic Gahoon last Wednesday, or this past Wednesday rather, and I think our best attempt we got him like 9%.
Nice.
There was some frustration from half the group. The other group is staying pretty optimistic, but I think overall, I think we're doing okay. It's just we got to get through these growing pains of learning each other and figuring each other out, and trying to figure out what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and all that jazz. So I think in the grander scheme of things, we're doing okay. We've got Mythic Talic down, and hopefully we'll get Gahoon and a few more Mythic bosses down this week. So
that is cool. Yeah, I think that when it comes to that level of rating, it's just about don't be afraid to change things up if your group is working a little bit differently than the kill videos that are out there is one way to do it, but it's definitely not the only way to do it. I mean, even that's one of the things that I feel like our guild is really good at, is that this doesn't really work for us, but if we tweak it like this, then it might actually work a little bit more in our favor. And sometimes it does, and other times it doesn't, and then you can always just go back to the other way. So I mean, it is a little bit of experimenting, especially with a new group. You need to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, I guess.
Well, I think you're right, because I think that brings up a very valid point, because the situation we are in with Heroic Gahoon is by the time we kind of exhaust ourselves and we start wiping, we're still about, like I said, our best attempt was 9% left. We're 9 to 10% health left, and we keep trying to push him into that final phase only after one feast, when in reality I think it might be more viable for us to wait for the second feast to push him in, and then we can account for that. And not only can we account for that damage we still need to account for, but we can also take our time and be more ready going into phase 3, and a lot of guilds have started to say that they're finding it easier for them to go into phase 3 after 2 feasts versus the 1. And I think the 1, most groups that are doing 1 have just insanely high DPS for Heroic Gahoon, so that might be something we look to change up going into next week. So I think you make a very good point.
Of course I do.
I don't say that often about Marty, so.
Nobody does.
All right. Hey, okay, let's move into the show notes and what we actually wanted to talk about today, because it's now that we are at World of Warcraft. Last week we talked a little bit about the community support for the DBM creator, and there's actually a little bit of a follow-up to this story, because the good people over at Blizzard, together with the hardware company MSI, decided to let's send him a little care package, and so they did. There was some Blizzard merch and some brand new equipment for him. So Blizzard is stepping up as well. What do you guys think about this? Is this a good a good thing for Blizzard to do, or will more creators maybe feel like, hey, why does that guy get when we don't? What is your stance on all this?
2 thumbs up. I think Blizzard, for all the things I could absolutely sit here and complain about for hours, they do a few things right, and one of them is showing appreciation to the hand that feeds them, so to speak. You have content creators like Preach, and obviously Skill from Method, and other these big time content creators with respect to the realm of the WoW community, who Blizzard will every so often send them care packages, whether it's a statue or just little knick-knacky things. And I think any company in Blizzard's shoes who doesn't recognize people who make things that really facilitate people's enjoyment or ease of access to their product would be an injustice, to say the least. So the fact that they're going out of the way and saying, hey, you have done a phenomenal job creating add-ons to help players access our in-game content and make it easier, and you have continued to do so for many years, and we heard about your story, and as a token of our gratitude, as well as just wanting in general to help you out, here's some stuff to kind of ease your situation and say thanks. So I think that's phenomenal from them, and I applaud it.
Yeah, I think it's great. And the intention behind the creator of DBM, they didn't set out to be like, hey, let me make this add-on and then in 5 years have Blizzard give me stuff. They created this add-on because they wanted to give back to this community. They wanted to give back to this game. And the post that they said, hey, I've been putting my all into this, and this is what it's costing me. So it was cool in this aspect to be like, it was social validation to be like, your work you put into this add-on, which I use. Like, I've tried big ways in DBM, and they're both great add-ons. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it's cool that the creator got validation for what they've done. I mean, think about the raid teams that have benefited from this, and even the people that have learned strategies from DBM, or the people that have been inspired to create add-ons because of DBM. This person has been a great part of the WoW community.
Something that I want to highlight is whenever something is going wrong in the game, there's always the Blizzard is not listening to the community, they're not doing their job, they're doing their own thing. And I think this shows both a good and a bad thing. One, it shows that Blizzard does listen to the community and they know what's going on, and they take action when they feel like they should. And they took a positive action here. The reason why I say that there is a negative to it here is because it's obvious that Blizzard listens to the community, and it's even more obvious that they choose which things that they're going to actively work on and put their effort into. So like, this is one positive thing. They're helping out somebody who's helping out their game. They're giving it back, and I like that. But then at the same time, it's like, there are a whole bunch of other issues too that we've brought up that you haven't said anything about. You haven't mentioned it in AMAs, you haven't done it here, you haven't made any changes. So what is going on, Blizzard? Because now we know for a fact that you listen to the community, because you're helping out content creators, which is awesome. I think that Blizzard does a really good job with helping out content creators. If you look at the panels that have grown at BlizzCon, like, you have podcasters that are up there doing live podcasts at BlizzCon, and developers go on their shows and things like that. They don't come on here, but I mean, they could if they wanted, just saying. I think it's really cool that they do that, and I just wanted to like highlight that they do listen to the community. Whether or not they fix your issue, that's another thing, but this is a positive, and it should be taken as such.
To think about it, there's like hundreds and hundreds of developers working on World of Warcraft. I bet you those developers not only develop it, they also play the game. They're in a guild. They're listening to guildies. They're on the forums. They watch YouTube videos. They're on Reddit. I bet you that Blizzard, in some shape or form, know what's going on among the community. So So yeah, I wouldn't be so surprised about that Blizzard is actually listening to what's going on in the community, because
Then why
do,
won't they give me
and
a
they know.
weapon?
Because Michael, that's the thing you said in episode 200.
Oh wait, no, they did give me a weapon today. It was like item level 273, and it was a 19% upgrade over my 335 weapon. I don't understand that. What is going? Okay, that's a whole different thing. Let's not do this.
But yeah, no, I think this is cool. I think it's always cool when the community comes together, and especially when Blizzard and also say thank you as well. That's definitely cool. So yeah, speaking of Blizzard and World of Warcraft, it's time to beta test World of Warcraft again. Wait, is it 2004 again?
Yes.
Did some time machine crap happen? Oh, is this an
Peeps.
alternative timeline? I don't get it.
I found out about this on a new social network that's starting up. You just got to go to your college and get signed up with it, and it's a thing called, I think, Facebook, and you can
Oh, really?
and you can connect with your friends on it.
Are you tired of
that's
kids
cool.
loading their MySpace with graphics that slow your internet? Come to Facebook, where you must have a college ID. Only mature audiences here.
I heard a new song on this person's MySpace account. Oh, this was great, but their theme though, oh, that was awful. It was an awful theme.
You guys are gonna have to give me a minute while my dial-up loads.
This 2004. I don't think it was dial-up still.
We still had people, about half the group we played with still had people who
Oh,
were still
my.
making the change from dial-up to high speed.
Okay.
I think it was 2009 when WoW finally got rid of dial-up. I mean, I didn't get out of dial-up till about 2002 or 3. So I mean, and that was only because Time Warner finally made it cheap enough. Wow, Time Warner, it's now Spectrum. Wow, time changes even then.
But yeah, no. In all seriousness, if you buy the virtual ticket, so you can see everything going on at BlizzCon, you will actually get access to, because you can't be there, you can't actually try out the demo for World of Warcraft Classic. But if you buy the virtual ticket, then you get to download it in your home at your own computer and play it for a week, at least a week. They said they might keep it up longer if I don't know, if people get to 60 within the week or something. I don't know.
Holy shit.
I mean, I think it actually would be kind of cool if you could keep it up until the end of the virtual ticket period. It is that period where it stops viewing, because then it would give people things to do. What I'm also curious on is if we're going to be playing on the same servers people at BlizzCon are going to be playing. I've heard that BlizzCon, there are local servers, so that might not be it. But it would be kind of cool if we would be able to be like, hey, you're at BlizzCon? I'm at home. Yeah, we're partying together.
I think that's how it's supposed to be. I think that what they said in the developer video, that it will be the same platform that we're sharing. It is the same live server that everybody's going to play on. But I don't know how that would work. Though I would think they might actually need more than one server, won't they? Because it's a lot of people buying the virtual ticket.
Yes, I think I heard like the millions tune in.
Well, I don't know how they're going to do the BlizzCon site, because most of those little demo sections you get 15 to 20 minutes on the computer. Then you got to get up and give someone else a turn, you know?
Get to like level 2.
So, right, you know what I mean? Like, not even level 2, like maybe level half.
It's going to be interesting. I think that it's a brilliant move, by the way, to make it so that holders of the virtual ticket can download it from home. I think it's amazing. I'm excited for it. I think that it's a good PR move because it gets people excited. If you weren't already going to buy the virtual ticket, now they got that entire audience that was maybe on the fence. Like those ones that are not happy with BFA at all and they might have canceled their sub already. Now they see something like this and they're like, okay, now I want to get back invested. And it's a demo. When was the last time we had a demo for anything? It's been beta for years now, and now we have a demo. Like, that's
so.
I wonder what it's going to entail.
Yeah, exactly. How much is in it? It's like, oh, there's only one zone.
What level are you going to start at? Like, are you going to be able to start at level 1 and level up to a certain point? Or are they going to start you at like level 5 or a level where you have some abilities? Like, what is going to go into this?
Still be there?
I think
I'll be
so.
upset if there are no gnomes.
Will there be gnomes? Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. I'm looking forward to this, to check it out, just to see if it actually feels like back then, because I don't think they will be able to 100% recreate the experience like it actually was.
Definitely not.
But if they could get close enough so it feels like it, that's basically what we want, right?
Yes. I don't know if you want to go into it, but I did post a theory into the
I think I've seen that video as well, so I think it's a fun theory. So yeah, we can jump into that small theory if you want to.
Yeah,
this tell us about it.
This ties into the classic. It's a video on YouTube by Nixium. I love watching Nixium stuff. I think he's hilarious. He's funny.
He's so cool. Yeah, I love him.
I'm a filthy casual.
He has a theory that Classic will overtake modern World of Warcraft. And here's kind of like the scale of it. Obviously, the game is Classic is going to hit a very high peak at the very beginning. Whether it's people trying it for the first time, people jumping back in, brand new people to MMOs maybe trying to figure out what the whole World of Warcraft thing was. A lot of people are going to jump in. Like, I'm going to jump in. I know Tom has talked about jumping in. I'm sure Marty's going to jump in. Dusty's talked about it. Like, everybody's talked about at least jumping in and giving it a go. So there's going to be a high... Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly mention, because I thought about it, forgot about it, and now I remembered it again, that we actually talked about rolling on US servers when we get Classic, so all of us can play together. So yeah, that's
so
what I wanted
we
to say.
are already making plans on what we're going to do in the game. So it's going to hit this high point, and then Nixium says, of course, it's going to have that drop off. And it's going to be during that drop off that we're going to hear the people, of course, that are saying, we told you all along Classic isn't what people wanted. Look at your numbers. They went down. That's inevitable. It's just like a World of Warcraft expansion. When it comes out, the hype is real, everyone's in, and then you realize either A, this is what I love, or B, it's okay, I'm going to stick around for a while, or C, I hate this new direction, I'm leaving, Blizzard, you ruined my game, get out of here. So it's going to be the same thing for Classic, and then it's going to stagnate for a while. Like, it's just going to level out. And then he says that once the content drought happens, which it most likely will, as it does every...
Content drought in the live game.
In the live game. Once that happens, when people are trying to figure out, okay, what do I do now? I don't want to farm all these things just for raid. I'm caught up on everything. What do I do? They're going to notice Classic. And because of the way that the game is built, there's going to be something to do in Classic because it takes forever to do something. So they're going to jump into Classic, and they're going to most likely enjoy themselves to a certain extent. They're going to have a goal that they can work towards and actively pursue that. Now, here's where his theory starts to go a little bit off, and he says, obviously, this isn't for everybody, but he says that the more people, and this depends on how Blizzard has the state of the game for BFA, the more people that are interested, or a lack of content in BFA, or a lack of interest in what's going on in BFA, the amount of people that go to Classic, he feels that Classic has a draw that Modern WoW doesn't. It has an addictive factor, and more people will start to come. And then rather than that line just staying straight, it's going to start growing again. And then he predicts that the hype is going to start all over again, and everyone is going to start switching until Classic WoW has more active players / subs, however they're going to do their pricing model, we don't know. But he predicts that it's going to have a bigger player base than the current retail game. Perfect placement.
I can
Ryan?
see that for one
Ryan is
expansion.
shaking his head. Okay, sorry. Frazley, go on.
No, that's my biggest thing. I can see for one expansion. Then once you play through everything that Classic has to offer, because the one thing I keep hearing of everybody, even now in BFA, we're not even to 8.1. Oh, I'm bored. I have nothing to do. It's like you're gonna go to a game that is content limited at a certain point.
I'm bored. I have too much to do. Wait, what?
Okay,
Let's hear it.
his theory can't even get off the ground.
Okay, I'm
I mean
interested
this
to
in all
hear this.
seriousness. You have a game right now that is fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
Every class, even classes that feel slow until you get adequate tertiary stats, are faster paced than they would have been in Classic, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It takes infinitely longer to level. Players already complain about things taking too long in live. I mean, trust me, majority of the players that go over to Classic WoW, even if they go over there at a time of a content drought, which is unlikely to happen in live because of Ian's model, they're gonna get over there and be like, "This is freaking stupid. It took me 5 hours to get to level 6. I'm gonna go play Fortnite, or I'm gonna go play Overwatch, or I'm gonna go do something other than this crap." You know what I mean? And the players that are gonna get to max level and raid are gonna be extremely dedicated. More often than not, probably nostalgic players, which is fine. I'm all for Classic WoW, but to create a theory like this, you are just showing your own cards that you're just hopeful and you have wishful thinking here. It's you're completely ignoring logic and you're completely ignoring the facts at hand. You would have to Bill Power. You sing it, Miley. I hate to be such a big downer on this guy and shoot his theory down, and you guys are obviously free to disagree with me. You'd be wrong, but there's just so many red flags that he's completely ignoring. That you're ignoring facts here, man. You gotta look at the culture right now, and it does not. Slow gameplay is not what people want.
I saw this theory, and I have to admit that I thought similar to Ryan. I can't really see this happening, I think, either. But I think it's a fun theory, and I definitely think he's right in a lot of things that he's saying. I definitely think he's right, and we'll see the peak right when it launches. We'll see it drop down, and then we'll see it will stagnate. Maybe it will. I mean, he is right. If there will be a content drought in the live game, I can totally see that people go back to Classic and play that for a while, because there's loads of things to do in Classic, and it takes, because things just take so long to do. But I'm having a hard time seeing it overtake live on this. Live is dying. I'd say. So, but I mean, it's a fun theory. I enjoyed his video, and yeah, I just don't personally. I can't see it happen either.
And I have a wondering of, let's say this theory does come true. Like, let's just say that it happens. Like, Classic, or let's say it even gets close to it.
Let's imagine that zombies are real.
Yes, let's do so. Okay, but let's just imagine that this does come to
Let me
fruition.
Take my drugs really quick, Michael, so you're on the same page here.
No, just imagine it, because I want to know what something like this, if it succeeds to a certain extent, what will the implications on retail version in World of Warcraft become? Because obviously, even if it reaches half, that's half of a player base that has gone to an older version of a game that you have constantly said that you are improving versus the base game. So even if we get half of the player base, let's say we're at 5 million for retail, and then you have 2.5 million playing Classic, what does that mean for the modern game? Like, will they make changes to retail version WoW to add some of the elements that people are attracted to in the Classic version? Will it be a wake up to Blizzard possibly saying, like, we've been going in this direction all along, but the player base is showing us that they prefer this other version? I'm curious on what that impact would be.
I'm not sure you can put it up like that, because I have a feeling that people who want to play Classic is also people who might not play World of Warcraft today. I think there's a good chunk of those people as well. So I agree. I think it depends on the statistics. if there's huge chunk who currently play live who goes to classic, then it might be a wake up call. But if it's like just a certain percentage, then I mean, then the improved version of World of Warcraft is obviously doing something people want. So I think it's down to statistics.
And I want to bring up one theory I keep having on Classic. Some of the people that play Classic on private servers play because it's free.
Are you willing to pay for that experience again? And
If
we
you
don't.
can just go to somewhere
Yeah.
and get it for free.
And we don't know what the pay model is going to be for Classic. We don't know if maybe you can tie it into like, oh, you pay $5 extra on your monthly fee to retail, and then you get Classic. And then if you don't want retail version, you pay $10 a month and you get Classic version only.
Yeah.
I think that's also
Yeah,
a big thing.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think.
think-
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I think Blizzard would have to really crack down on private servers once Classic comes out. I mean, they would
Yeah.
really have to be like, you
They're already doing that though. aren't
yeah,
they?
but I mean, in an even bigger amount. They're going to really have to close those down because otherwise, it's going to be hard to say, "Hey, we have Classic over here you can pay for," when you have something over here that you can pay for free.
If Blizzard recreates Classic the way that it was, and people still play on the private servers, then what that shows is that they were full of shit the entire time, where they're like, Blizzard doesn't do what we want, that's why we play on these servers. If they brought it back, then we would play. If they still continue to play on a private server, then they are full of shit and they deserve to have their realm shut down. They deserve it because all of those people, when there was the big controversy, they said, we're doing this because Blizzard is not providing a service that we want. And I've heard people say, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I've heard people say that private servers are not how Classic used to be. Even if it is a Classic, they allow things that Classic didn't have. There are certain add-ons that are allowed. I've seen people say, like, I've looked at the screenshots. That is not what Classic looked like. You have a lot more going on your UI than Classic had going on. It's not a representation. It is to a certain extent. But if you are not willing to jump over to the Classic server, then you are a lying sack of shit. And I'm sorry, I got no sympathies for whatever your complaints are. You just lost everything from me.
Well, to take your theory even further, Michael, there are certain things about early Classic that you just cannot allow to exist currently. Talent trees in the very beginning of Classic, enhanced shamans had tanking talents.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They originally
Tanking
intended for
shaman.
enhancement shamans to possibly be a tank. You just can't have that.
That's cool.
Warlock-
Why not?
Warlock-
I like that type of stuff. I like that
Bring
type
that
of stuff.
back.
I mean, you could, but with the iteration that they had in the game, even with those talents, they were not a viable tank. Even if they completely farmed all of
But
the
that's
individual.
that's
pieces
what
of
people
gear.
want. That's what people want.
Yeah, right.
And if you go in thinking that it's not going to be like that, then I don't know what game you're planning on playing.
I have to say something then, because we had a druid in our guild, and druids back then, they were healers, nothing else. They couldn't do anything else. But we had a druid who made things work. He made like the most wackiest different specs, and he managed to get the gear for it, and he actually made it work. So I would say if you really want to, there's probably some things in there that you could make work that people are saying now that impossible.
And that's fine. I just mean, like, some of the organizational styles of some of these talent trees made absolutely no sense. Warlock trees were completely, they were just gross. You know, like, there just was no point to even having them. And so I think Blizzard has even said in the past that if they do this,
They might
they'll
want
have
to tweak it a
use-
little.
Well, they'll have to tweak it a little, obviously, even maybe even use some of the talent trees that were implemented later, like towards the end of Classic, because that's when they really started to clean things up. Which I'm fine with little things like that, because a lot of stuff was clearly broken in early Classic that they had to fix it, right? So Classic wasn't at its best until the end of Classic.
Well, I think that's the patch that they said they're going with, is one towards the end of Classic.
Right?
Yeah, I think they did set a patch, so
Yeah.
it's not like vanilla from when it came out.
Yeah.
There is some tweaks in there as well.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I think it's down to the payment model, because I don't I'm not going to pay for 2 subscriptions.
Same.
I still want to try it out. If it's a small add-on price, whatever, then I'm probably fine with it. Or if it's like a one-time or whatever, or if maybe it's even just part of my current subscription, then I'm fine with it.
Oh, that's wishful
Me
thinking
personally.
right there.
The other
Yeah.
thing I think that is going on is I think Blizzard is still on the fence about moving forward with this project. They're really leery about stepping backwards. I think this little maneuver of theirs is a test to see how popular the game will be and if it will actually be worth their time. Because I think they have legitimate fears, like you said, Michael, where a lot of the players who are crying for Classic are people who only want a free version and don't want to pay for anything, or B, are people who are saying that, hey, you should give people the choice. I personally won't partake in the choice, but people should have the choice. You know what I mean? So, which both result in one and the same, where people just aren't playing it and it's not worth their time or money.
Yeah.
You know.
Only
So
time will tell.
This could be a soft opening for them to see how popular it's going to be and if it's actually worth their time.
But I don't feel like they can do it with this, because that will obviously it will peak right now. Everybody's like, oh, I want to check that out, and I mean, a lot of people want to check it out, but that doesn't mean that converts into like a paying subscriber or whatever. Again, we don't know how they're going to how the payment model will do. So I'm having a hard time seeing that they can actually use these numbers like in that way, to be honest.
I'm going back to an interview that I heard at right after BlizzCon, and what I envision them seeing is getting this all set up, putting the development costs in this, either hiring developers or taking a few off of a project for just a little bit, getting Classic set up. Then once it is set up, keeping a small bit of people hired to maintain the code, but then everything else goes back to retail. And I forget where it was either PC Gamer or somewhere, but they were talking about how their goal is to put it into maintenance mode once everything is set up. So I could see it being $15 a month, because if they were paying $15 a month for Classic and you can still play live, that's $15 a month more that Blizzard is getting per month.
I don't know. I think that maintaining a Classic server is a lot easier than maintaining the modern game. I mean, they have so many different things that they have to maintain in the retail version versus this 10-year or plus, actually, what, 13, 14-year-old game? I think it's a lot less intensive for them to take care of it. And there is one last thing that I kind of wanted to bring up on Ryan's point about the talent trees and things like that. Is that one thing that we're not taking into account in terms of talent trees and things like that, is that at the time, people didn't know as much about the game as we do now. Even like a Classic version. Like, now we have access to things. So I think that things that might not have been as viable back then, I think they might be a little bit more viable now that people actually have a better understanding of the game itself and how to play. So people don't have their spellbook open and clicking on it and be like, oh, this can't work because there's too many different things, I have to switch to page 2. Like, no. I think that it will be a little bit more accessible than what we think in that regard.
My big question is, will I have to sim my gear then?
No, we're currently playing WoW Simulator, apparently, according to Ian Hazakostas, but that's a different story. Okay,
there weren't too many secondary stats around back then, if I remember correctly. So it was basically just, oh, this has more intellect, put it on, and now we're going. Back when Spirit was a thing and a main stat.
MP5.
Oh yeah, MP5 got introduced as well at some point. Yeah.
All right, Marty, what do you say that since we're on Classic and we're probably running out of time here soon, what do you think about transitioning into the big question that we have, which was presented by Frazley?
All right, Frazley is here, so he can ask it live on the show.
Yes, go ahead.
So,
Frazley.
do you think Classic is done if we are already getting a demo this BlizzCon?
Is it close? Is Classic close if we are getting a demo this BlizzCon?
I would say that's very hard to tell, because we don't know what content will actually be in this supposedly demo. So I'd say it's a hard it's hard to tell right now, but I think we can get an idea of how close the experience will be to vanilla. So until we actually get our small filthy hands on it, it is very difficult to answer.
It's not close to being done, Frazley. The game was made 13 to 14
It's
years ago.
already
It's been
done.
done for 13 to 14 years. You know, it's just a matter of them implementing it and setting up the servers. So
I disagree. I think that it is. I think it's right around the corner, and here's why. World of Warcraft was released in November 2004. 15 years ago, this November. Perfect launch time, right after BlizzCon
No,
almost.
14.
14? Is my math wrong?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're a year
2
off.
plus 2 equals 15.
Yes! Math.
So next BlizzCon, we get the announcement that it's coming out.
No,
Yeah.
I actually think that it's closer than that. I think it will be released before then. If not, I would just love a bombshell thing. Like, here's our demo, and guess what? 2 weeks after BlizzCon, the game is going to be ready. I think if they're able to create a demo for World of Warcraft Classic, then why not just be able to do the whole game? I think that the demo is just to, like, get people excited because it's not quite ready, and they want to test load the server itself on how many people are going to be on, and if it can handle what they're doing. And then I think it's available. I'm pushing for by the end of November, it's going to be released. Boom. There we go.
Don't get me wrong.
BlizzCon
Don't
theory.
get me wrong. I think that would be amazing, but I'm just thinking the wording. It's a demo, and as you said, I've never used that wording before. It's always like it's an alpha or beta or whatever. This is a demo. What does that mean? Are they messing with us?
Well, this is the
What
first time we've
if-
gotten a demo outside of BlizzCon, right? They've always had demos at BlizzCon.
Mhm.
This is the first time we'll be able to play the demos from home.
Yeah.
I think that's the key difference.
What if we take it and kind of an idea from Michael and an idea from Marty?
Oh no!
What
Wait,
if-
ruin mine?
That's a bad idea.
Best idea ever.
So, one difference we have between WoW of 2004 and WoW of now is we have early access and we have betas. Minecraft made betas and early access work. Steam. What if we get Classic early access? You get to play Classic during beta. There might be wipes, but you get to play Classic and help us figure out what you want to do.
Classic itself is early access. Alright, so no.
Classic is early access to the live game. What?
Yes.
Well, and even Wowhead keeps saying this is beta for Azeroth. The not Wowhead himself, but the comments.
Beta for Azeroth. Alright. Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait a little month's time. Holy crap! It's already that late of the year. In a little over a month,
Oh yeah.
I have reserved the living room in our apartment, and I've told my roommate and my girlfriend that this is my area for 2.5 days. There will be pizza, there will be cola and beer, and you can join in or you can stay away. It's totally up to you. It's my time. It's my time.
You're either with me or you're against me.
Exactly.
Well, and Right Cool Pizza has a special. Order now. 5 pizzas for $49.95.
All right. I think it's that time to close down the bar, and so we can get the hell out of here. I actually have to have pizza tonight.
You
If
have
it's
to.
from Rycold, I have to. We
Oh.
are going to order pizza. If it's from Rycold Pizza, you'll have to wait for next week to figure that out.
Last orders! Last orders!
Here we are. We are about to close down, but before we do that, I just quickly have to mention that Ryan and Michael and I did another episode of Nerd This, and it's going to be out roughly around the same time this episode is out. So you can choose. Well, if you're already at this point, you're listening to this, then you probably chose this, I guess. But but you can listen to both those episodes. And what did we talk about, Michael?
Which time? The last time we talked about video games, we talked about storytelling, we've talked about a bunch of different things. It was mainly video game related this time around. Sometimes we mix it up, but this time around it was video games, storytelling. Ryan ranted about World of Warcraft a little bit. The usual.
All the usual.
Yeah.
That is correct. And Frazley, thank you so much for being a stand-in for Tom as well this week. It's always fun to have gnomes in the bar, even though they're not allowed to drink.
I thank you. And hey, at least the good thing is we have some great cider. Uh-oh, I just spilled some juice on the floor. Hope you don't get mad.
Oh, God damn it. That's something for Tom to clean up when he comes back.
Just leave it there.
People who want to hear about what you're doing, Frazley, where can they find you?
They can find me every week on Frazzlecast, and there I get to talk with different people from around Azeroth. I've had all three of you on the show, and in the future I'll have all three of you again back on the show, so it's always a fun time. And then you get to hear me every week on the Frazley Report at the end of the Blue Recluse.
That's right.
That is right. Ryan, you also do a few other things, isn't that right? At least one other thing.
Depends on the week, really. How I'm feeling. Yeah, no, actually I do. I do Nerd This with you guys, and Marty and I here very shortly in about an hour and 15 minutes or so will be live for our weekly show of TRC, the Raiders Confessional, where we talk all things endgame PvE-wise in the world of Azeroth. You can find us on Twitch every Sunday at 2:30 Central Standard Time at TRC Podcast.
And there we go. Stay around, because after the show, we have more Frazley with the Frazley Report. So let us know your thoughts about anything we talked about on this episode, or if you have your own questions, feel free to contact us. Michael, how do people do that?
They can email the show at thebluereclusepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at The Blue Recluse, or you can join us over at Discord on bluerecluse.eu/Discord. You can submit your questions over there. You can also find us on iTunes. Leave a review if you like what you heard, or if you dislike, let us know. You can also find us on patreon.com/thebluerecluse, or if you want all that information, including our show notes and more, feel free to go to our website, thebluerecluse.eu or thebluerecluse.com.
Frazley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Frazley. So I was
That's
born in a...
No, I mean,
No.
The Frazley Report. Do you want to have the honors and introduce the the Frazley Report?
Absolutely. So, hey, Frazley, take it over. Welcome to the Frazley News Hour. This is your nightly extended coverage of what was covered on the Frazley Report broadcast earlier in the day. Today's news hour will be about 4 hours, as we have a lot to cover. Tonight, we will cover what was data mined from the 8.1 PTR. I have poured over all the details. We will analyze every little detail of the data mined items. I brought in transmog experts like Silverbolt, Posty, and Kaz to talk about the designs of each item. We also have an investigative look into the banning and unbanning of Rex Troy. We looked into their past and talked with people who knew them, as well as experts on what leads someone to exploit mechanics. I sat down with a few GMs to talk about why Rex Troy is banned and unbanned. And lastly, I talked with some people who got banned from World of Warcraft and their experience since then. Let's begin. First up, the transmog. These have brought in some great new transmog pieces, tabards, gnomish maces. There's even a new...
We interrupt to bring you a special report. I'm Grady Mutzenberger, and this is the Eye on Azeroth, which is a much better show than Frazzy's anyhow. So moments ago, a group of players called the Children of Gahoon just blocked the entrance to Odir. They forgot that players can pass through them, but that didn't stop them from trying. They all got on their Grand Expeditioning Axe and used everything possible to make themselves big and make it so players had a tough time seeing the entrance. Their only goal was to stop players from entering Odir and killing their leader, Gahoon. They said that Gahoon has been given a bad rap. They claim Gahoon doesn't want to destroy all of Azeroth with rot and decay, but actually wishes to restore it to its former glory and make Azeroth great again. Gahoon was just sadly only given the power to destroy. Gahoon blames all the destruction on the old gods and wishes to get retribution from the old gods and the Titans. The Children of Gahoon only wish to have Gahoon given a new chance to redeem themselves.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.